Imagine walking outside in the freezing cold, with nothing but the sound of crunching snow under your boots. It's the 1970s, and everything feels quiet, too quiet. Now, picture a girl stepping out of her house, her breath turning to mist as she spots a strange car parked near her street. Curiosity pulls her closer. Suddenly, a chilling voice makes her freeze. She spins around, only to face a creepy man with pale skin. He grins at her and calls her the almost birthday girl, as if he knows her secret. And the strangest part? He's proud of wearing his long legs today. Part 1. Fast forward 20 years to the 1990s. FBI agent Lee Harker is working on a tough new case with her partner, Agent Fisk. They head to a quiet neighborhood, asking people if they've seen the suspect. But something strange happens. Lee has a strong feeling about one particular house. Trusting her gut, they approach it. As Fisk opens the door, a shot rings out and he's hit. Without hesitation, Lee rushes inside with her gun ready. There, at the end of the room, she finds the suspect, sitting calmly on his bed, hands in the air. Lee meets with her boss, Agent Carter, who's amazed at how sharp she is. He starts to wonder if she has some sort of special ability, like she can sense things before they happen. He decides to put her on a huge case that's been unsolved for years. It's a series of terrifying murders where fathers took the lives of their families and then themselves. At every crime scene, the police found creepy letters covered with strange symbols and codes, all signed with the name Longlegs. Later, Carter invites Lee over to his house, where she meets his wife, Anna, and their daughter, Ruby. Ruby seems excited to meet Lee and pulls her into her room for a chat. As they talk, Lee opens up, admitting that she once dreamed of becoming an actress instead of an agent. Ruby, feeling a connection, smiles and eagerly invites Lee to her birthday party coming up soon. Lee takes her case files back to her quiet, lonely cabin deep in the woods. Life isn't perfect for her, especially when it comes to her rocky relationship with her mom, Ruth. She tries calling her but gets no answer. Suddenly, there's a loud pounding on her door, making her heart race. Lee peers through the window and spots a shadowy figure just standing in the trees. She rushes outside, determined to confront whoever it is, but when she turns back, the figure has slipped into her house. She hurries back inside, but they're already gone, leaving behind only an envelope with a chilling message: do not open until January 14th. In part 2, Lee can't wait any longer. She opens the mysterious envelope and finds a birthday card inside, but this isn't any normal card. It's covered in strange symbols just like the creepy letters her boss Carter had shown her. Inside, she decodes a chilling line from the Book of Revelation: I stood upon the sand of the sea. The card also contains a terrifying message, a detailed threat of violence that leaves her shaken to the core. Carter calls Lee in to check out another disturbing Longlegs murder. This time, the father was behind the crime again. As they investigate the scene, both Carter and Lee find one of the man's daughters, her body already decomposing. Back at the station, Lee shares her findings with Carter. She's noticed a pattern. Every murder happened within 6 days of the daughter's birthdays, and all the dates were on the 14th of different months. When she maps out the dates, they form a triangle on the calendar, but one date is missing, a clue that Longlegs might strike again soon. Lee keeps quiet about the letter she got from Longlegs, but she hints to Carter that he's not working alone. There might be someone or even a group helping him carry out the murders. Not far from where all the chaos is unfolding, Longlegs lurks in the shadows. His stringy hair hangs down over his bloated, chalk-white face as he walks into a local store, looking for supplies. He tries to act strange, maybe even intimidating, around the teenage clerk, but she just rolls her eyes. She knows him as the town's weird guy. Ignored and frustrated, Longlegs heads back to his home, where he starts ranting and yelling, his words spiraling into madness. Lee and Carter turn their attention to the Camera family, where the only survivor was young Carrie Ann, who was at school when her father took the lives of the rest of the family. To dig deeper, they head out to the Camera family farm and step into the old barn where the terrible crime happened. While searching the place, they lift up the floorboards and find something creepy, a doll that looks almost exactly like a young Carrie Ann. Inside the doll's head, they discover a strange metal ball acting as its brain. When they take it to an examiner, he places a mic near the ball, which starts making eerie static sounds. As the noise fills the room, Lee is hit with terrifying visions, and the examiner says he even heard the doll whispering the name of his ex-wife. Lee visits Carrie Ann, who's been living in a psych ward ever since the awful day her family was murdered. When Lee talks to one of the orderlies, he mentions something strange. Carrie Ann hadn't spoken or moved in almost 20 years. That is, until a man, Longlegs, came to see her recently, and it was like he woke her up from her silent state. When Lee finally speaks speaks with Carrie Ann. Her voice is flat and cold as she describes a terrifying vision, her father murdering a priest before turning on her mother. Then, in the same lifeless tone, Carrie Ann admits she'd do anything the man told her to do now, even if it meant killing Lee. Carter sits down with Lee and brings up something important. He remembers that she had a strange encounter with Longlegs when she was a child, something she seems to have forgotten over the years. Feeling a mix of curiosity and unease, Lee decides to visit her mother, Ruth. When she arrives, she finds Ruth to be a religious fanatic, always pushing Lee to pray, even though Lee admits she never does. Ruth tells her how lucky she is to have grown up, hinting that it's because of the sacrifices she made for her. While looking through Ruth's things, Lee discovers old pictures, including one of a mysterious man. To her shock, it's a photo she took herself when she was little, the very moment Longlegs came to visit her and Ruth. With this shocking discovery, Lee rushes back to share the information with Carter. With the old snapshot in hand, the FBI manages to track down and capture Longlegs, who reveals his real name, Dale Ferdinand Cobble. In a creepy interrogation video, he looks straight at the camera and sings "Happy Birthday" to Lee in a chilling way. Feeling brave, Lee steps into the interrogation room to confront him directly and find out who might be helping him. Longlegs starts talking about how he serves the man downstairs, meaning Satan, and hints that Lee should ask her mother about anyone he might have been working with. Just before things take a dark turn, Longlegs wishes Lee a happy birthday one last time. Then, in a shocking moment, he violently slams his face down on the table, leaving a gruesome mess behind as he succumbs to his injuries. Carter is upset with Lee for not keeping Longlegs under control, reminding her that now they might never discover who was helping him. He also shares some troubling news. Carrie Ann is definitely not involved because she reportedly jumped off the roof of the psych ward. This news hits Lee hard, making her realize just how serious their situation has become. Lee arrives at her mother Ruth's house with Agent Browning, feeling uneasy. When she steps inside, she finds the place empty, but suddenly, Ruth appears from behind Browning and uses a shotgun to take her own life. Shocked and terrified, Lee rushes outside to confront her mother, who is now aiming her gun at a doll that looks just like young Lee. Ruth declares that she is finally free from Longlegs' control. Then, with a loud bang, she shoots the doll, and a cloud of black smoke billows out from the same metal ball they found in the other doll. The sight is too much for Lee, and she collapses, losing consciousness. In part 3, Lee hears her mother Ruth's voice telling a dark story. It all began the day Longlegs first visited. That night, Ruth begged him to spare both her and Lee when he returned to commit his terrible acts. From then on, Ruth became his accomplice, helping him by delivering creepy dolls that looked just like the daughters from each family. These dolls were filled with satanic magic, which twisted the fathers' minds and made them commit the awful murders. To disguise herself, Ruth would dress as a nun and tell families that the dolls were gifts from the church. As it turns out, Longlegs had been living in the basement of the Harker's house, earning him the nickname the Man Downstairs. Ruth tries to justify her actions, claiming she did it to protect Lee from dying and going to hell. She reveals that the doll made to look like Lee had been the psychic voice in her head, guiding her through her investigations all along. Lee wakes up in her old bedroom, feeling disoriented and confused. She notices her mom is nowhere to be found. Suddenly, the phone starts ringing, breaking the silence. When Lee answers, a creepy voice on the other end tells her that she's missing Ruby's birthday party. Panic sets in, and Lee quickly rushes to the shed to find her mom's car. With a sense of urgency, she hops in and drives straight to Carter's house, determined to get there in time. By the time Lee arrives, Ruth is already there with the creepy doll that looks just like Ruby, and the whole family seems trapped in a strange trance. Lee quickly tries to warn Carter, but he acts angry and aggressive, not like himself at all. Ruth suggests it's time to cut the cake, and both Carter and Anna head into the kitchen. Soon, Lee hears the horrifying sound of Anna being stabbed. Desperate to stop her mom, Lee begs Ruth to end this madness, but Ruth is determined to go through with her plan. In a split second, Lee shoots Carter before he can get near Ruby. Ruth, filled with rage, stands up to attack both Lee and Ruby, but Lee acts fast and shoots her mother in the head. When Lee tries to destroy the doll, she realizes she's run out of bullets. With no time to waste, she grabs Ruby and hurriedly leaves the house, hoping to escape the nightmare they've been trapped in. In the final scene, we see Longlegs sitting in the interrogation room, a twisted grin on his face. He laughs mockingly, reveling in the success of his wicked plan. Just before the scene fades to black, he leans forward and whispers, "Hail Satan," then blows a kiss to the camera, leaving the viewers in shock and disbelief. Which movie should we recap next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more movie recaps. Thanks for watching. Produced by Warner Recap.